For Louisiana versus all y'all, Jarrett Roser here with Isidore Newman coach Randy Livingston, a guy who was a state championship and a very decorated player at Livingston in the early 90s, has gone on to LSU in the professional ranks and has been back now at his alma mater the past 4 years and the past couple of years as state champions. Coach, appreciate you taking some time to chat through some of it. The journey of getting the Greenies once again back to the top of y'all's division. Thanks so much.
No, I appreciate you having me, Jared. It's a pleasure. And, look forward to many more times we get on and talk about everything basketball.
Yeah, man. Sounds good to me. I mentioned you've been at the highest levels of basketball, and you come back to New Orleans and take the reins of the program that you had played for in your high school days. And it was a little bit of a process to get back to state championship contention and be doing that on a year in, year out basis, getting to the title game a couple years back, winning that state championship a year ago, and then coming back and repeating. What does it take to do that? To not just have a good team that's going to go make a title run, but to build the type of sustained success and hunger and consistency to be at that level year in and year out?
Well, I think first of all, we have a wonderful school in Isidore Newman High School. We have a great head of school, a great athletic director. And what happens is when we're all on the same page, it usually works out. We all bleed green. I think when I first got the job, my aspirations was high. It didn't matter. I came in, I did an 8th grade team when Arch Manning was in 8th grade. We were undefeated, 32-0. And then the next year, at that year, I was able to see the high school program from 100,000 feet in the air. Coach Tillett is a marvelous coach. But I wanted to do some things different, and I just thought what I wanted to do was compete for the state championships year in and year out. And that was the message from the very first year. And it didn't take long. We had some talent. We had Jerron Ruffin, returning player, and then a young Chris Lockett, who was a freshman at the time. For us to not be in the semifinals for 30 years and to make it on my first year, we lost to Dunham team right before COVID. That was like the last game that had stands. I remember Coach Brown coming to that game. Legendary Coach Brown. But we didn't win, but it kind of set the tone for what we were going to be about. And then to lose Javon in COVID, he left his senior year, and then have a young team make it all the way to the finals. And really was 3 minutes away from, us being 3-time state championship right now. It was a testament to how far we had came, but we wasn't really there yet. And having a young team to experience, and then now, Carlos Stewart comes home. We played a great Dunham team. Pixon's a great coach. And, he had 4 seniors in the starting lineup. And so we just weren't quite ready to get over that hump. But, anytime you want to win something, if you look at whether it's NBA, whether it's college, whether it's whatever, the Pistons couldn't beat someone and then they broke through. They couldn't beat the Celtics and then they broke through. Staying with LeBron, it takes time, and then you break through. And once you learn how to become a champion, the road definitely gets harder. So then we lost. We learned our lesson. We came back hungrier the next year and won the state championship. There was not a shadow of doubt that we were going to win, even though the game against Lafayette Christian was, they shot the lights out. They might have shot 70% from 3-pointers in the first 3 quarters. But, I just felt like it was our time. From what we had went through the year before. And then after you win it, normal human nature is to relax. Normal human nature is to be full. Or I think Coach Saban would say, you drink the rat poison, all the, your favorite, and you have all of this stuff. But I thought we worked harder than we had worked the previous year in the off-season program. And I just knew we had a special team. But it's hard to stay focused when you've won it before. And so I thought we were cruising there, having a great time. And then we went out NIT tournament for the second time in a row, which as a player, I never won it. So this is good for me. It's kind of like get back for me. I can win it as a coach. And so we win that, and then we go get smacked in the mouth in the City of Palms tournament by, two nationally ranked teams. We didn't play well. And then we wound up winning the last game there, which was a good thing. We come back home. We go to Springfield, Massachusetts, which was an amazing trip to Hoop Hall. And we played well. We won, beat a good team from Virginia. But I thought it took its toll on us. We came back and played a treacherous stretch. Madison Prep at home, didn't play well. Played Liberty, didn't play well. And then got crushed by Scotlandville at Scotlandville. We didn't panic. It just was kind of a reality check that it wasn't going to be rosy and peachy as we thought. But it set the stage for us to go on a massive run at the end of the season. I think the guys locked in. And that was about the best I've seen this group play in 4 years that I had Chris Lockett. We won the last 6-7 games by 20, 30 points. We even beat Ponchatoula by 30 points. And they were 5A state champions. We beat a great Christ School team from North Carolina. And then in the playoffs, we just was so locked in and dialed in defensively, offensively. And that's how you repeat as champions. It's just being focused and locked in at the right time. And so it was an exciting run. And I feel good about where the program is. We laid a great foundation 4 years ago at Dunham. And then now I feel like we're one of the premier programs in the state, regardless of class. I know people don't like to talk like that. I don't like to really get ahead of ourselves. But when you feel it and you feel like you built something special, it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to put it out there, let the world know that, the Newman basketball program is in good hands. And we lost Chris Lockett and Canin Jefferson, which was two studs. But we have a young crop of kids that are hungrier. And I feel good about where the program's going.
When you have you mentioned the treacherous schedule, some of these brutal stretches y'all have against top competition, not just from around Louisiana, but all over the country. How do you view or balance that from a coaching perspective of you want to test your guys, you want them to stay engaged and hungry and not get complacent, but you also don't want the high school kids to take a big L or a couple big L's and get down on themselves. And so just managing sort of their confidence level versus competition. How do you view that, with guys that are 15, 16, 17 years old?
Yeah, there's a fine line, but the underlining theme of all that is that we needed to get better. When we played those top tier teams, if you want to be ranked in the country, which that was our aspiration, we got all the way up to like 39 at one point. And, but it gave us a chance to see what our weaknesses was. It gave us a chance to let some of the young freshmen get a chance to play. We changed the lineup a little bit. We changed what we do as a team, offensively, defensively. Sometimes you can't be afraid of failing. Like, you can't be afraid of putting your neck out there. And sometimes, I know for young guys, it might get chopped off and sometimes they may not recover. I just thought we had strong enough nucleus of seniors that we would be okay. We would be able to weather the storm, and maybe it was a risk and by me, but I think at the end of the day, we grew from it. And I think as the season goes along, keeping this group focused on a night out basis is tough. They won it before. Where was the challenges? We ran through the NIT again. We pretty much were beating everybody easy. So we needed those challenges to figure out who we were and what we were about. Some people say they play the hardest schedule, but for us to take on Madison Prep at home and then go to Liberty and go to Scotlandville back to back, those were 3 games we went to after leaving Springfield, where we traveled to New York, where it was a trip. And hindsight, maybe I'm mixing the game in between, but at the end of the day, I felt like the group was ready. We just didn't play well. We were not playing well at that time. But, it is a balancing act. But I felt like this group was mature enough to handle it.
You mentioned the senior leaders, and you mentioned, specifically Chris Lockett and Canin Jefferson. What can you say about the young players and young men that they've grown into with you under, over these past few years? They both got to the high school level as fantastic youth players, and you saw some of the things, some of the potential they had on the court, but just their overall maturation these last 4 years. How special has that been to watch?
Yeah, it was interesting. When you get young, talented players that are, young, they have some maturation to do. And, I can say this now, we probably lose to Dunham first game in the championship game because they probably were competing against each other instead of working together. And then they learned their lesson. But then, they both wanted college scholarships. So then they figured you got to put up good numbers and whatever. And sometimes they competed, but it was so rewarding to see the last 6-7 weeks of the season. Pretty much everything we preached to them came true. And, I was just ecstatic because it happened. And when I said happened, they finally figured it out. On the team with themselves, and then you have Todd Jones and Chris Lehman, they weren't going to average 30 points a game. It was okay to average 16, 17, 6, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and we would win. And they just figured it out. When one got tired, the other one started going, and vice versa. And so that was so rewarding to see those guys figure it out before they graduated, before the season ended. Like it was special. I mean, we were clicking on all cylinders. If you just look at the box score, the last 6 weeks of the season, Chris might have averaged 18, Canin might have averaged 17 a game. They were both shooting 50% from the three-point line. They were both getting assists. Chris was rebounding a little bit more. Canin was getting steals. But they figured it out. And that was just a testament to, sometimes you lay the groundwork or you plant seeds and you don't see the fruit for a little bit. But it was good to see the roots that we laid and the foundation that we laid and the fruit that we grew. It bare fruit. All of the growing and sowing of the seeds, it bare fruit at the end of the season. And that was special to watch them two, understood what winning was about, understood what, being the best teammate they can be, challenging each other in a positive way, channeling their energy. When one got tired, the other one started going. One got tired, and the other one picked up. So they were awesome the last 6-7 weeks of the season, and the whole team was. But it started with them two, so that was incredible to watch their growth.
When you mention kind of watching from that year, working with the 8th grade guys and seeing some things that you wanted to do a little bit differently, what were those things that you feel like were kind of focal points for you that helped make that, that next step as a program up from a consistently competitive team that was going to be in the playoffs and be a tough out to a team that's winning back-to-back state championships?
Well, before I decided to take the job, I was in Baton Rouge. I'd moved back from Australia. I watched the Episcopal twice in the playoff, Coach Gillette's team. And then I went to the playoff game before I took over where they played Country Day. And it was such a massive, widespread in the two programs that, just as a competitor and as somebody who, when I was in school, there was no rivalry with Country Day. And Mike's did an incredible job with that program. But, right away, I wanted to make sure we were going to be viable and it wasn't going to be easy. And so when I took over the program, that was one of the things, to make sure you get competitive right away, have good talent, which we have now have it, and to make sure people understand, as Coach Prime says, we coming. And we have been relentless in that pursuit of being excellent, pursuit of winning state championships, doing great in the classroom, and having model citizens. I think that was the one thing that just jumped out at me right away. Gillette's a great coach. He's a Hall of Fame coach, and every if and buts about it. It's nothing, not against him. I just thought my experience in professional, college, overseas basketball, the game was changing, and and you have to have players to play in a different style. But the game was changing, and I think through all of my experiences, it led me to this time. Like, we can adjust, we can adapt. Like the one thing, it's a PSA for anybody want to play at Newman. We can play different styles. Like, the guys are learning professional basketball, college basketball, high school basketball. Like, we're teaching stuff that we did in the G League, I did in the NBA. We're teaching stuff that I take from college. We're teaching concepts that I take from overseas. So they're getting a handful of stuff. Well, maybe sometimes we give them too much, but as a coach, I know how to pull back and simplify things. But they're getting professional coaching on a high school level, and that's the guys are really, really buying into that. And I just wanted to make playing at Newman fun. I wanted to make it playing at Newman about winning, hard work, dedication, sacrificing. Those things I wanted to do, and I've been able to do that. I had a great coaching staff. That was the other thing. I assembled a great coaching staff. Coach Travis Russell was great. Coach Ronell Taylor has professional experience, college experience playing at UAB. They probably was one team that beat LSU in the tournament. So I got a guy like that on the staff, and then I got a heck of a player development coach in Jamel Forbes. So we have a great staff. So, it's that those were the things I wanted to implement. Everything that, the first thing, I'm a big Ted Lasso fan. I put the Believe Achieve sign in my locker room, and in my office in gold colors. Because I think if you can't see it and the players don't see it, it's useless. I know we come up with some of these silly monikers to start every season and all that stuff, but like, I purposely do stuff on purpose. The quest for Banner X was the first time. Once we got that, then, the commitment to excellence. I'm a huge Raider fan, but I spelled it excellent with 11 and the big Newman in it. Those type of things, the kids got to see it. They got to see your vision. They got to see, not only see it, but they got to buy into it. And I think that's the one thing we've been able to do, that people don't think. Kids only go as far as how much they believe in you. And they know if you believe in them, they'll run through that brick wall. And I think our kids, are willing to sacrifice and do that.
I was going to ask, with the experience at the different levels, both for you and some members of that coaching staff, what is the biggest difference of being at the high school level as compared to college and, in or around the NBA or overseas? Is some of it what you were just speaking to with just sort of the visualization of some things that you might consider goofy or whatever at another level, but that's kind of a good visualization tool for the younger guys? Or, what was the biggest transition point for you to kind of learn over those first couple years?
Well, we had Coach Russell, who had been in high school for 30 years. So we had a guy who's a high school coach. Roe, they've played at the highest level, so he can step out on the court and be with the guys a little bit and, smack them around a little bit and make sure they understand what we need to be done. And then Janelle was good. But, basically, when you have a staff and that type of experience, we can have great coaching meeting and, be honest and very straightforward about, what's going on. If something's not working, the staff can say, hey, Coach Liv, we need to change this way. And we always bounce back stuff off of each other and give feedback. There might be some things that we put in for the group that wasn't working, and we changed. And that was, to be honest with you, we really did that at the end of the last 6-7 weeks. We got, like I said, punching them out, but then we have our coaching meeting and, we come up with some stuff that was kind of a combination of stuff you do in the NBA and you can do overseas, and it worked for us. And I think that's the beauty of having that type of experience as a staff. You can always change on the fly, or you can always be open and honest with each other. And from a high school standpoint, you try to simplify it, but you try to give them concepts, and you try to not create robots, but create basketball players. Too many times I see, for the longest, I ran motion offense when I was in school. I loved it when I was in school. But times have changed a little bit. I think there's still a place for some of that stuff, but then you have to mix in, other concepts that are important to basketball today, and just constantly adjust. And like I said, sometimes it can be a blend of two different systems. Sometimes I'm not a zone man, but sometimes as a zone coach, that was never in my philosophy. But when you have a big team like we have, and sometimes you want to do certain things, you play zone. I remember Coach Nate Roche at Carter called me after we played them 1-3-1, and he was like, "How do you beat the zone?" And it was weird. It's good though, because then I seen him beat a great Madison Prep team playing zone. Mm-hmm. So like sometimes you just adjust. You just take. You go with your gut. I mean, I was always told, great coach George Carl said, everybody can coach. All the coaches, know something because we've been through a lot of stuff. But it's really what you do and the times you got to make adjustments on the fly. That is the difference. And it's what he called feel. You got to have a feel for the game. I had it when I played, and I would think I have it as a coach because I've been in those situations so many times. It's all feel. You got to feel your team. You got to feel what the moment is predicating you to do. And like I said, last 7 weeks, I felt like it was time to make some changes offensively, and it really propelled us. So that's what having that type of experience on the coaching staff will do for you. But not many staffs have that in Louisiana, and I feel like that's a plus and something that we can always, lean on. And Newman basketball is fortunate to have not only myself but the rest of the staff that we have.
You're early into the off season. You guys are just a month removed from that championship, and we're still a ways off from summer ball and all those things. But when you have guys like Canin and Chris that are kind of running the show from a guard standpoint, now heading to the next level, and you've got some talent coming back, but the guys that are kind of the well-known names around are Chris Lehman and Todd Jones that we mentioned earlier, who are more off the ball type guys. What looks the same for y'all now moving forward into life after Lockett and Jefferson, and what looks a little different, if anything, of some approaches to some things with a different roster for next year?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I take a page out of Coach Prime. We coming. We got great young talent. My son is going to be at Newman next year, and he's one of the best guards in the class of 26. We have Sebastian Thor, who a freshman. He got some minutes and some valuable minutes this year. Jackson Williams got some valuable minutes this year. He'll be a sophomore next year. We get a chance to first look at Trajan Langdon and Chris Vincent, who were freshmen this year that can shoot the lights out. They played JV and they got better. We'll get a chance to see those guys. We're going to be bigger than we were this past year. We have 6'7" Chris Burden, who's a 2-3, a wing player. He'll get a chance to play. He got some minutes this year, but he'll get a chance to show what he can do. And then we had two guys sitting out, Peyton Foster, who's a 6'5" energizer, plays great defense, can make an open shot. And then we have a kid that transferred in from Riverside that's sitting in Chris Sinek, who's, before the summer's over with, I think will be a top 25 player in the country. And so you add that with Todd and Chris Lehman and Isaiah Grant and Felipe Schwazo, those guys who have been with me now for 3 years. It'll be their 4th year. We're going to be good. I mean, we're going to be good for a long time. For the next 2-3 years, I feel like the foundation is laid. It's now Todd and Chris Lehman's turn to be leaders, to be captains, we're going to have to play differently than we played a little bit this year, which we'll figure it out. That's what you figure out in the summer and early in the fall. But I'm excited. Because the foundation was laid. Canin and Chris, they went out the right way. They showed the younger guys this is how it's done. I don't care if you're trying to get your individual stats, individual accolade stuff. At the end of the day, it's a team game. We're going to be a team first program, and you'll reap the rewards. If you do what you're supposed to do, you'll be a champion, and you'll get to go on and play college basketball, and nobody can take that away from you. I think if you win, everybody gets a piece of the pie. Everybody gets looked at because people take from winning programs. And so I'm excited, and I'm also excited. These guys work extremely hard. Like you say, we're only months away. They have been in the gym already, and building that camaraderie, because that's when it starts. And we can't rest on our laurels. We can't be satisfied with winning two, which we should have had three to me. But at the end of the day, we coming. We got a great nucleus of kids, and I'm excited, about the future and what it is. And it'll be different. It'll be every year's different. Every year has been different. I'm sure coaching my son is going to bring, different challenges, but I relish that. This is a special, thing. He's a really good player. But we got really good players all at every position, probably too deep. And so, look forward to them playing faster. We're too deep everywhere. And so I feel very comfortable with the direction the program is in. And I'm a proud alum. I wear that on my sleeves, and everybody around here, looking forward to seeing championship style basketball for the next few years.
You've spoken about, from your playing career, the state championships being the biggest thing for you, with all the other accolades that came along with that. And it just kind of goes in line with some of what you were just talking about, how much you cherish those state championships. You get another big accolade now with the Louisiana High School Sports Hall of Fame induction. As much as you enjoyed those titles more than what any of these awards necessarily are, how special are the award opportunities just to look back on those days and, reminisce about some of those stories and, just take you back to those times that you did have so much fun as a young player?
No, it was super special. Well, for me, when you're younger, you're able to put in the work. When you put in the work, these are just the rewards of working hard and being the very best that you can be. But this was a family night for me. This was a culmination of, the people that were important to me, to be able to share the memories, have my kids there, to have my mom there, my uncles. That was an amazing, time. And it gives you a chance to, and not so much stick your chest out, but it gives you a chance to really, to sink in and feel the appreciation for, what you did. I was one of those kids who grew up. We all know Louisiana is a football state, but I wanted to put Louisiana on the map for basketball. That was my quest. And when I worked hard as I did during those years, that's what it was for. It was to say that, hey, we got great basketball players down there, and we have some of the best. And I know Katrina has, taken away a little bit of that, and we're still kind of in that recovery. But I felt like it started to turn in the class of 21, and then 22 was a good class, and I think 23 is a good class, and it'll continue to evolve and get better. Louisiana cycles in basketball, and so for me, getting back to that night, it was a special night, just to share it with all the inductees, but just the like I said, the appreciation, to know that you accomplished so much, and just to share it with the people you love. That was special for me.
When your players, and particularly your son, hear people tell stories from your playing days and see some of the accolades, do you think they realize the level of player that has really sunk in with them, or are they still kind of figuring that out? And it's just like, oh, that's Coach Liv, or that's Dad. And it kind of catches them off guard sometimes when they realize sort of the stature of your playing career.
They hear about it, but they have no idea. Well, we got to remember, that was that's pre the social media world, right? If we had social media, I wonder what my NIL evaluation would be. You know what I'm saying? So like, it was just pre that. So they hear all the stories, they know, but then they don't really know. They think they're good and special, but they don't really know. So it's just the difference in generation. I think at the end of the day, though, like when I took over the job coaching high school, it was the one thing my older brother told me was, basically, you know, you got to forget about all the things that you accomplished, and in a good way, right? And just, it's not about the banners, your banners you hung on the wall. It's about all the kids now, you know, and I think that's important to me. So, you know, I think the Hall of Fame stuff is still a good reminder to them. You know, it's good for them to know, you know, how special of a player their coach was. But at the end of the day, you know, I lived it. It's for me to give the experience back to the youth. And, you know, if I can help one of them, whether it's on or off the court, become more successful, that's what this journey is about now. It isn't about me. It's nice to get, like I said, rewarded by all of the accomplishments that you did and all the hard work and dedication you put in. But, you know, now it's about these kids. It's about making them a Hall of Famer, making them come back 20 years from now and have a reunion and remember the times and remember how hard and devastating it was to be 2 minutes away from winning a championship, but then come back and, you know, we're down 8 points against Lafayette Christian. Like, we'll remember those times forever going into the fourth quarter. And I can remember it like it was yesterday. I huddled them up at the end of the quarter. We're talking. I did a little X and O, and I just stopped and I said, "This is going to be the best fourth quarter y'all played all year." And they did. We outscored them like 25-7, and it was over. And they'll remember that. They'll remember the trips we did, City of Palms, New York, Dallas, Hoop Fest. You know, those guys will remember those. It's about them. It truly is. It's not about me anymore. It's about those guys and helping them become better men and better players on the court. And that's, you know, that's the journey I'm on now. And life is good. I'm where I'm supposed to be.
And those guys got it done again this year, as just talked about at length, getting a second straight state championship back to Isidore Newman. Coach, I appreciate you so much chatting through a lot of it and sharing all that perspective.
Oh, no problem. Anytime. Like I said, we can do this a lot. I don't mind. You know, I like your man. Louisiana versus everybody. I like that.
Yeah, it's been good. That. It's been good for me getting back into basketball more than I had been in a few years. And so I look forward to being around it more and more and getting a chance to chop it up and look at what the Greenies have in store next season.
No, appreciate it. And looking forward to you being around. And we got a great NIT tournament. We're going to have DeMatha coming down from DC to come play an NIT tournament this year. Catholic High will be in it. Carver will be in it. So, you know, it's going to be a fun year.
Beautiful. Again, he's Coach Randy Livingston, the Isidore Newman Greenies, winners of their second straight state championship. And for Louisiana versus all y'all, Jarrett Roser.